All right, for our second performance tonight will be Paul Han, who will be playing the part of a Egyptian Lebanese doctor. While the Arab Spring and the resulting revolution in Egypt resulted in the ousting and arrest of the dictator Hosni Mubarak, Egypt unfortunately still has a long way to go. I did a little research for this piece because I lived in the Middle East and I heard a little bit about female circumcision rates, which is what this piece is partially about. And what I found is that the rate is still 90% and even sometimes above that. So pretty much almost all Egyptian women have to, unfortunately, still go through this. Paul will be playing Marco Naguib, an Egyptian-American doctor who was raised in Lebanon. His piece, titled For Mama, recalls his mother's 33-year abusive marriage. Paul will be playing the doctor tonight. Originally from Chicago, Paul graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign with a BS in psychology with a concentration on things sciencey. He is a 3-year GET teacher in Korea, and he hopes you will enjoy yourself tonight, although not too much. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Han.
I hadn't been the first person to suggest to my mother, Mama, that she leave Baba, my father and tormentor. On their wedding night, in a boarding house in Beirut, Baba beat her for the first time. The landlady urged her to pack her things and go, as Mama wiped the running coal off her face, even offering to buy her a ticket back home to Egypt. Mama refused, too ashamed to have run off to Lebanon with this man in the first place. She buried her face in the satin of her gown and remembered her mother's solemn expression the day she left. Her face covered in a thin black veil, refusing to shed a tear out of respect. Hit, my grandmother, she would not cry. She couldn't. There were no tears left. She had already buried 10 of her own children from things like typhoid or smallpox. God's will. Mama remembered the times her mother had beat her and her 4 sisters for wearing things like miniskirts or high heels. She remembered the resolution she made to escape her mother's hand. The same hand that held her down that dreadful day on her neighbor's table as her clitoris was torn out with twine. She was only 10 years old and did not know what had happened. She was only ashamed that she could be born with a part of her body that had to be ripped out in order that she might marry. 4 armed military guards had already visited our family doorsteps to tell Mama that she could not finish her last year of law school because our family was Christian. Forbidden now under Abdel Nasser's new fanatical regime. Not wanting to be a burden to her family, she felt too ashamed not to marry Baba. But the signs of trouble were already there. Once they had married, she felt as a devoted Catholic that the only way out of a violent marriage was death, which she prayed for too often. We grew up watching Baba's criminal violence. I remember standing there, that eagle as Mama's screamed and cried on the ground like a child. And then came the crowbars, the electric cables, the bats, the chains. My sister, Rita, and I, we could no longer stop the fights. The police had grown exhausted of our frantic calls. We begged Mama to leave. How could I leave you? She would cry. Who will take care of you? She seemed resigned to this life as if she had deserved it. Then one day, this all changed. Mama hit her limits. She installed a deadbolt lock on the inside of her bedroom door and slept with a 10-inch kitchen knife by her bedside. A truce. Baba never again entered the bedroom and made the dining room floor his bed. Still, until the day he died, Mama lived in fear. I hated her fear. I blamed her for it. Now I see that this is cruel. We do what we can, when we can, if we can. And no one should be judged for his limits. In the end, Baba repented to Mama in a way no one could have ever predicted. Shortly after his retirement, Baba booked a ticket back home to Egypt. Just 3 weeks before he was to leave, he asked Mama to go with him. In 33 years of marriage, they had never gone anywhere alone together, much less back home to Egypt. In Cairo, they relived the days when they were foolish and headstrong. Days when he used to make her laugh. It was as if Baba had fallen in love with Mama for the first time. And within a month of their arrival, Baba collapsed from a heart attack and slipped into a coma. He was pronounced brain dead and placed on the ventilator. For 9 days, Mama stayed by his bed in the hospital. She remembered her wedding nights and the decision she made to stay with this man. She remembered the words of my gentle grandfather, her father, a scholar and calligrapher, who had warned her not to marry this man. This man. Still, she stayed by his bed in the hospital and prayed that he be forgiven for what he had done. For 9 long days, Baba lay in his coma until May 13th, their anniversary. Mama felt the flicker of his finger and then he was gone. The monitor lines flattening all at once. He leaves you, she whispered. In the end, it was not too late for Mama to forgive, or too late for her to start over. And with his dying, Baba finally said he was sorry. Thank you.